inheriting a seemingly haunted house from an uncle he barely knew. A man moves in to facilitate its sale, leaving behind his wife and twin daughters. Alone, he encounters unsettling phenomena: misplaced items, unexplained shadows, and time slips. The appearance of a dog named Buster, left by a neighbor who believes his uncle passed only recently, provides temporary solace until Buster vanishes under mysterious circumstances, only to reappear inexplicably. The man's work success contrasts sharply with the eerie happenings at the house, including a disturbing discovery in a bathroom and sinister messages appearing on the walls. His attempts to escape the house's grasp fail, leading to increasingly horrifying experiences that blur the lines between reality and madness. Calls to police and attempts to connect with the outside world offer no relief, as the house seems to manipulate reality itself. Desperation grows as he questions his own sanity and existence, unable to remember key details of his life outside the house. The story culminates in a chilling realization of his entrapment within a cycle of psychological torment, with the house, or something within it, driving him to the brink of madness. His attempts to document the horror, to reach out through digital pleas for help, become increasingly disjointed. Words twist into grim farewells on their own, as if the house itself is hijacking his intent, crafting its own narrative of despair. The more he writes, the more he feels the pull of an abyss, the loss of every personal detail he once held dear. His identity dissolves into the miasma of the haunted domicile, leaving behind a shell ensnared by the macabre dance of ghostly machinations. The concept of escape becomes a cruel joke. Each plan to flee or outwit the house's influences ends in failure, looping back to the start like a twisted Groundhog Day with a sinister edge. The reality he occupies bends and folds, trapping him in a labyrinth with no exit, where even time and space mock his plight. As the man confronts this endless cycle, a realization dawns upon him with the weight of 1,000 nightmares. The house doesn't just haunt, it consumes. It feeds on fear, confusion, and sanity, twisting memories and reality until nothing remains but the echo of a life that once was. His final entries are not messages of hope or plans for escape, but acknowledgments of defeat, a surrender to the void that has replaced his existence. Yet in the heart of despair, a sliver of defiance glimmers. With nothing left to lose, he decides to confront the core of the haunting. The house might control the narrative, but he will not go quietly into the night. His last act will not be one of surrender, but a challenge thrown in the face of whatever malevolence holds him captive. Armed with nothing but a fading sense of self, he ventures into the darkest corners of the house, each step a battle against the overwhelming urge to give in to madness. He calls out to the shadows, to the memories of his family he can barely grasp, using their fading images as a shield against the darkness. What follows is a journey through a psychological hell, a confrontation with manifestations of his deepest fears and regrets. The house throws everything at him, warping reality to break his spirit. But in this final stand, something remarkable happens. The very act of defiance, however futile it might seem, ignites a spark of clarity. He may not remember his name, his past, or the faces of those he loved, but he clings to the essence of who he is. In this moment, he is more than a victim or a plaything for spectral forces. He is a beacon of human will in the face of the incomprehensible. Amid the swirling chaos of his final defiance, a flicker of insight pierces the gloom. The man realizes the haunting is not just an external force, but a mirror of his own psyche, a manifestation of buried traumas, guilt, and fears. The house, with its shifting corridors and endless tricks, is a labyrinth of his making, a physical embodiment of his struggle to confront and accept the darker aspects of himself. With this revelation comes a shift in perspective. The monsters and shadows that plagued him transform, not into benign figures, but into symbols of his own inner turmoil. The messages on the walls, the disappearing and reappearing dog, even the sinister phone calls, they all represent fragments of his fractured identity, begging to be acknowledged and understood. He stops running. Instead of seeking a way out, he seeks a way through. He walks the house not as a prisoner, but as a pilgrim, each room a station in a journey of self-discovery. The once terrifying spaces become scenes of introspection, where memories long suppressed bubble to the surface, demanding attention. As he confronts these revelations, the nature of the house's torment shifts. It no longer seeks to scare him with grotesqueries, but challenges him with truths. He sees not just the fears he's run from, but the hopes and dreams he's abandoned along the way. He finds rooms he never entered, filled with light and echoes of laughter. as if the house itself is revealing a path to reconciliation with his past. In this journey, time loses its meaning. Hours, days, perhaps weeks pass as he wanders the endless halls, each step forward a piece of the puzzle slotting into place. The narrative of horror that once dominated begins to fray, giving way to a story of healing and forgiveness. But such journeys are neither easy nor without cost. The deeper he delves into the heart of his own darkness, the more he risks losing himself completely. The temptation to succumb, to let the house take everything and end the pain, grows with every revelation. Yet it's the memory of Buster, the loyal dog that represented unconditional love and protection, that keeps him anchored. It's a reminder of what's at stake, not just his sanity, but the chance for redemption and renewal. The climax comes not with a battle against a ghost or demon, but with an acceptance of self. Standing in the very room where the horrors began, he speaks aloud the truths he's uncovered, each word a renunciation of fear and a step towards liberation. As he does, the house, his house, responds. Walls that once seemed to close in on him recede. Shadows that lurked in corners dissipate. The air, heavy with the scent of decay, clears. He's left standing in an ordinary room, the sun streaming through windows that were once shrouded in darkness. There's no dramatic vanquishing of spirits, no house crumbling to the ground in defeat. There's just a man, breathless and weary, but whole in a way he hasn't been for a long time. The story ends as he steps outside, not into a world forever altered by his ordeal, but into a day bright with possibility. He's not the same man who entered the house, nor is the house the same. It stands not as a monument to fear, but as a testament to the journey through it. And so our tale concludes not with a goodbye, but with a sense of beginning. The man, whose name we never quite grasp, walks away from the house not because he's escaping, but because he's ready to live again, carrying with him the lessons learned from the deepest darkness. In the end, the story is not about a haunted house, but about haunting oneself, about the ghosts we all carry and the power we have to face them. It's a reminder that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones we tell about ourselves, and the most powerful ones are those of our own making.